The last video I made did better than probably anything I've ever done in my life, so I was contemplating how to make this new video useful to all of the folks that just subscribed. And then it dawned on me that a lot of people have questions about the SteamOS, Steam Machine, and just generally like, how is gaming off of Windows like? So in this video, I'm going to try to sum up a lot of the major questions and kind of summarize a lot of the answers to that to cover things like the Steam Machine, SteamOS, game compatibility, all based on, again, what I'm seeing online, plus the nearly 1,000 comments that we got in the last video. So again, thank you so much. And I think a good place to start, just because I was cracking up at the video that Big A posted last night, where he's crashing out over people calling the Steam Machine just a PC, is, hey, is the Steam Machine just a PC? There are two answers here, and I think they're both yes. On the first part, yes, the Steam Machine is just a PC. SteamOS has a desktop environment, and you can get into that right now on your Steam Deck and use it just like a PC. Connect your mouse, keyboard, all that stuff. And in fact, you need to do this for the installation of certain emulators. So yeah, connect the Steam Machine to 2 monitors, watch YouTube on the side, or connect it to your TV in the living room and then put it to desktop mode and put your game on one window and then put YouTube on the side. The world is your oyster to put YouTube on the side, right? The second part to that is also yes, it's just a PC that is going to be marketed like a console. It is going after the console market. And I think this was Big A's point here. Valve is not making this for the hardcore PC gamers that normally build their own stuff or buy the max performance products out there. Valve is making this to go after that console market and primarily gamers who just want to play and don't want to fiddle with anything, just want it to be ready. So for that purpose, the Steam Machine is a ready-made console-like product that just plays video games and also happens to have a desktop mode that you can use like any other desktop or laptop PC. Which gets me into the next question. Could you technically run other operating systems on the Steam Machine? The answer is yes. If you have the Steam Machine and you're like the less than 5% of gamers that actually know their way around a PC, you can boot Windows on it, dual boot Windows on it, boot Pop OS, do whatever you'd like. Again, this isn't who Valve is really targeting, but I think a lot of tech enthusiasts see the Steam Machine as just a new mini PC that also happens to be backed by the #1 PC gaming storefront in the world. And unlike consoles, there aren't any restrictions that make the Steam Machine unusable if you try to load a different OS or mod it. Like, the Xbox requires that all software is cryptographically signed by Microsoft, and Nintendo can remotely break your console if you accidentally don't know what you're doing when you're trying to mod your Nintendo Switch too. Another question that I got is, will I be able to run Fortnite, Battlefield, League of Legends, or what about games that require kernel-level anti-cheat? The answer here is no, and that's probably the biggest weakness to not just SteamOS, but really all of Linux gaming. Additionally, Epic Game Store is a direct competitor to Steam, so there's even less incentive for Epic to make Fortnite playable on a different ecosystem. However, I do think that for Riot, NEA, and other developers like that, there could be a financial incentive that is existent now for them to figure out how to develop an anti-cheat software that meets their standards while also making their games playable on SteamOS. Which is a great segue to why hasn't kernel-level anti-cheat worked on Linux in the past, and what makes me hopeful that we'll get support in the future. This was asked a couple of times, and the answer to the first part is that there has been no one distribution for developers to really focus around, especially when they're trying to create software that meets the needs of something like League of Legends, for example. It's important to have a secure anti-cheat software because they have an esports side to their business. So I'm simplifying a lot here, but basically there are so many Linux distributions. If you can imagine being a developer, the cost of developing an anti-cheat for Linux is high, the player bases are low and fragmented, and the Linux distributions are too varied. However, the reason I'm hopeful for the future is that Steam is about to introduce millions of players into Linux-based gaming on a console-like PC. They already have done this with the Steam Deck, which got great reception, and they're just expanding that player base into the Steam Machine. With a single operating system to focus on, being SteamOS, this gives games developers a much more stable anchor to potentially build towards. I'd reckon we're still probably 2 to 3 years out from a SteamOS solution for games, but this is the best that it's ever looked for Linux gaming, and I've been saying that every year for like 6 years. So unless the US enters like a depression in Q2 of 2026, I think Steam timed this perfectly. Okay, so the next question is, what is so bad about Windows? There were a lot of people confused and maybe really sad that we were picking on Windows and Microsoft so hard in the last video, and I want to make it really clear that we want to treat this multi-billion-dollar corporation like the delicate flower that it is. So let me just clarify a few things. I am not concerned or focused on anything having to do with Windows in a professional setting. There were folks bringing up Microsoft's Intelligent Cloud segment, Azure, their professional suite of apps. I do not care about any of those when it comes to gaming. I think they're fine. In some cases, SharePoint is better than like 99% of asset management systems out there, which is both sad for Adobe and I guess good for Microsoft. If you work professionally in corporate America, the music industry, or film production, nothing is coming to save you. I mean, nothing is coming to replace Windows or macOS. They work totally fine. I want to make that so clear. I don't care about using those operating systems for work or professional workflows. But when you're gaming, you're taking part in a recreational activity. And what's so bad about Windows is that while you're doing that silly, goofy little activity, or just trying to catch up with friends, or just trying to relax after work, or maybe even just trying to rank up a little bit in League, for God's sakes, there's multiple layers of data gathering going on all at the same time, plus Copilot, plus PC. And if you're like, hey, Russia, China, some dude in the Bahamas, they already have my data. What do I care? It makes your games on your super expensive PC run slower because of all of the background processes and bloatware. The cleaner and more tailored an operating system is for gaming, the better it runs with less powerful hardware. That's why a PS5 can run certain games as good or better than a PC with higher specs on paper. The PS5 is just trying to do one thing, which is game. Similarly, the Steam machine is just trying to do one thing, which is game. And it also happens to have a desktop environment that is clean of AI and bloatware and all of the latest telemetry that could get you looking like you're trying to cook a lasagna for a data broker just while trying to play Cyberpunk 2077 on high settings. So good news, Microsoft is not going anywhere. When you run Windows 11 and you're forced to create a Microsoft account and load all your information, and when you're trying to save a file to your personal computer and being asked if you want to save it to the OneDrive cloud server accessible to Microsoft, and when Copilot is running at every layer, trying to make you, trying to help you fly your flight simulator or something, I don't know, whatever, you're good. It's going to always be there, right? Microsoft is going to be okay. But if you don't need that or want that, the Steam machine is a nice alternative, and that's pretty neat as a customer. I also just wanted to touch on pricing. We don't know the price, and analysts are saying that Valve is aiming for $599, which is a price that seems very doable, as we just got leaks today saying that it costs $425 in parts to create the Steam machine. Honestly, even at $800, this would be an instant buy for me. I would love for them to hit those lower price targets. It would be a massive win, especially as people are dealing with their 50-year mortgages now. And I just feel like a lot of people would really need that lower price target, and it would be just amazing to be able to make it at $599. I also got questions about emulation and modding, both of which are, of course, a yes. You will be able to run emulators and mod. You can do that on the Steam Deck right now. Again, the Steam machine is, I guess, not just a PC. I guess it can also be any gaming console from the last 2 decades that you'd like. But I'm really excited for those that haven't been able to mod in the past. I can't wait for like a second wave of just random mod TikToks to hit my feed in 2026 for all of the different games that people are going to be maybe, meeting for the first time in a new way. Finally, there was a question in my last video of, what kind of peripherals and accessories will you be able to use on the Steam machine? The short answer is that anything you can use on a PC will be able to be used on a SteamOS. Not only that, but Steam supports controller input features that let you map your controller to however you want. So it doesn't matter if you have an Xbox, you want to map it like a PlayStation, have a PlayStation, map it like a Nintendo Switch controller, do whatever you want. It also provides customizability for macros and, other kind of button layouts. So you can make multiple inputs at once. And of course you can use a keyboard and a mouse and a microphone and a webcam if you'd like. So it's in that way, it really is just a PC. So I really hope that, people enjoy that experience if it's something that maybe they haven't been able to do so much on like their main console or, anything like that. So that does it for most of like the summary of the major questions, but I did want to end with one thing. Since SteamOS is already available and I have a mini PC and I've already been using it to replace like my Amazon Fire Stick and kind of other things in my living room, I did get a lot of questions about dual booting Windows on the Steam machine. Now I'm going to just try this out on a mini PC, and if you're interested maybe of me making a video to see what that would be like, to see what it would be like to run Windows from like an external SSD, let me know, and I'm glad to try it out. I'm kind of particularly interested to run Windows on an external SSD because while I don't want to necessarily go back to it, it'd be really nice to just be able to play TFT on a Steam machine. So I did want to test that on SteamOS. Also, I've heard that getting SteamOS on a mini PC can be finicky. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but it was something that I was interested to try out. And if you'd like to just see me film it, feel free to let me know. And with that, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Again, I really appreciate all the comments and all of the interaction. And for those of you that even stick to the end, thank you for keeping me company. I just hope that you have a great day, a great weekend, a great life, and happy to have you here. And thank you for all of the support. All of the comments give me ideas for new videos all the time. And so that's really what's keeping me going. So yeah, thank you and hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.